All right, folks, by now you have probably heard about the claim of racism that someone targeted black NASCAR driver Bubba Watson by hanging a noose in the garage he was using at Talladega Speedway. This came just days after the same driver successfully got NASCAR to ban the Confederate flag at its events. So many media outlets made that leap before the investigation was even concluded. Well, it turns out that noose is a garage door pull that had been in the same garage since 2019 and maybe even 2017. Our crew found evidence of that, and it was put there long before anyone would have any idea that the sole black NASCAR driver would be using that garage. And even when the FBI says he was not the target of a hate crime, no one could find any ill intention, except, of course, MSNBC, and they kept pushing this idea, and they turned to Al Sharpton to keep the race baiting train going.
The FBI identified it as a noose. NASCAR said it was a noose or went along with the FBI's characterization. It was a noose. So the question is, even if they did not know that Bubba Wallace was going to use that stall, why was a noose in the stall? It's clear what a noose represents.
Do you see how they keep pushing this story? There's no way anyone could have known that Bubba Wallace would have been using this garage. These outlets will not let this story go away. Let's dig into this now with our panel. Bobby Eberle hosts the 13-minute news hour, and lucky for us, he also happens to be a race car driver. And we're also joined by Florida congressional candidate and Air Force veteran Anna Paulina Luna. Both of you, thank you for coming on. Anna Paulina, I want to start with you. Al Sharpton, that's who you turn to for your commentary on all of this after it's been debunked?
Yeah, I can say that Al Sharpton's very well paid, but when you look at the actual evidence here, when you see what actually Bubba decided to say yesterday when he talked to Jesse Waters about this, he even said himself that he didn't actually know about this until after it had occurred, meaning that this story was actually leaked to the press. And when you see what's happening now in the country with now even PETA coming out to say things like milk are considered white supremacists with ties, it's very evident that the media doesn't have an invested interest in really putting the truth out there to the American people. And frankly, people in politics and the media both greatly benefit off there being a divide in regards to race tension. So it's in my opinion that, yes, this is absolutely being pushed for a very important reason, and that is the 2020 election. Bubba said himself that it wasn't a noose. It was there. You can obviously see that it's a pull down, but it's just really sad that that's the climate that our country's come to, especially between an election.
Yeah, very, very true. Now, Bobby Eberle, I'll admit, it looks like a noose. I mean, it looks hanging there. But I used to own an auto care shop. Those garage doors can be very heavy to open up and down. Is it possible at all, Bobby Eberle, that they would make that knot, which you can find in a Boy Scout book, by the way, so you can easily grab it with your hand to pull down the garage door?
Right. It's not only totally possible, and thanks for having me on, Grant, it's highly likely. I mean, this is what's so nuts is that his initial tweet, Bubba Wallace is saying things now, you know, but his initial one was this was a despicable act of racism and hatred. And you wouldn't even, I mean, what is the deal? I mean, your previous guest talked about leaking to the media. Yeah, they went straight to the media because you would not do that. At the track, you wouldn't even go to the track officials, those at that particular track. You'd go to your race series officials. You'd just say, hey, look at this. Looks a little weird. What do you think? They'd talk to the track officials. The official would then say, hey, that's a garage pull. It's been here for forever. You guys are talking about 2017. I mean, it's just nuts. But all of a sudden, those procedures aren't followed. They just, all of a sudden, it's a media story. And Bubba Wallace himself is playing into it, saying it's an act of hatred and racism before there's one investigation, before there's one question asked. And it just shows this narrative that they're pushing. They are going from impeachment in Russia to coronavirus to shutdowns to everything you can think of to get President Trump. Now it's the riots. Now it's this white supremacy, on and on and on.
Well, look, so Bubba Wallace has certainly walked it back, okay, and he wasn't the one that initially claimed all this, but still by using the term noose, and he did it again with Don Lemon the other night on CNN, and he pushes it. It's all all in an effort, I do believe, to divide. And the reason they want to keep this story is to divide us as a nation, because Anna Paulina, they used guns in 2016 to divide us. They said we're going to repeal the Second Amendment. They knew how a divisive issue that was. That didn't work. So now what do they use? They use race to divide us. I don't think this is about the Democrats and their caring of black people. I think it's about their caring of trying to win back the White House at all costs.
I believe that. I actually firmly believe that. And if you look at the same media that's making these claims of racism, even though we know that it wasn't a racist incident that's occurring, this is the same media that, mind you, is branding the black community as nothing more than violent thugs. This is the same Hollywood that puts black people in these same stereotypes. And so it's my firm belief that if we had to show, if the mainstream media really wanted to show what was happening and really show the unifying front that President Trump has had for the minority community, and frankly how Americans are able to benefit and excel more than any other place in the world, they would be out of news stories. So that's why they keep this alive.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I'm glad you brought up Hollywood, Anna Paulina, because you look at Hollywood, they're in the tank for the Democrats. The Democrats have the media on board as well. It poses challenges for all conservatives, including the president. They're coming out with a series I just saw. I believe it's on Showtime. It's going to be about James Comey. And guess what, Bobby Eberle? This series about James Comey is going to come out right before the election. They weaponize entertainment against us.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course it's going to come out right before the election. This is all planned. This is all coordinated. And when we're talking about race, where we're talking about how people are portrayed, just look at the tools the Democrats use now. You know, growing up post-MLK, we talked about colorblind society and judging people on merit and melting pots. Now, what do the Democrats use? They use division. They use diversity and safe spaces and white privilege. Everything they talk about is designed to divide us. It's not about bringing people together, yet that's what they say.
Okay, friends, thanks so much for watching. And before you go, please hit that subscribe button, hit that bell so you'll be notified. And here's a special video just for you so you can watch even more of the 13-minute news hour. And don't forget to check out GOPUSA.com for the best in conservative news and commentary. We'll see you next time.